I'm Dan Lutz, and I'm addressing the concerned people of the world, concerned about what is going on with the cabal and the war against them and how it's going, and the phenomena of QAnon. So, QAnon started back in October, and it was just post on a message board that's in the where you say may all the high tech people will go, geeks and hackers and the like, all posting anonymously. So QAnon means anonymous, and Q is just the designation that came about from the first post. I believe I don't know what his codes. They have message codes. So the QAnon movement has become a movement, and it's only been this way, gathering steam. But in the last 3 months, has become where posters are coming up at Trump rallies, and they're holding up the Q. They're having T-shirts with Q. So, what is Q? And where did it come from, and what is its purpose, and what is going on? So, from what I can tell, and what I've been doing is I've been keeping abreast of the different anons, or the people that are now analyzing what QAnon is doing and presenting their information. So Q gives these very cryptic information and asks questions. And so apparently this seems to be, but it's not where it's coming out and saying it, but people that are connected with Trump, around Trump, and are passing out information through this group to get it into the mainstream person's mind, so that they start thinking about it, and they're asking questions, getting people to dig so that people can wake up. And so it seems to be run by military intelligence. This is more than just some people that are just out, sending out some information just to get people digging. This is a coordinated effort, and they have a plan. This plan is one that is well thought out and goes back to before Trump was elected. In fact, the way it looks, and I'm going to piece some things together from what I've been picking up from all the anons and the people that have been analyzing them. And we're going to go over a couple of the people that are analyzing that I find to be very credible, and they're putting a lot of effort into analyzing and doing the digging that Q's directing them towards. The two that I like the most are Praying Medic and also SGT reports. But we'll go over that in a little bit. But apparently what has happened is the military was going to do a literal coup on Obama. They literally wanted to take over because they saw all the treasonous acts that were going on, and they wanted to take action. But they came up with a different plan. And that plan was to ask Trump if he would run. And literally, the military went in and stopped the voter fraud from happening, and took over those computers so that the real vote would be cast. And that's how Hillary lost, is because she could not get all the voter fraud to be registered the way they wanted. So the military has now surrounded Trump. You can see that all the generals are now populating all around Trump, and there's been several attempts to assassinate him, and so on. And we're going to go over a couple of those things that have gone on recently, and just to show where things are going. But this is a plan. They're calling it the plan. They're saying trust the plan. This is well orchestrated. This is not a lark. This is not just someone off in a room just typing out some things anonymously. It's very, very structured, and it's meant to do something. And that something is to wake up everybody who's sleeping. In other words, take the red pill. In the Matrix movies, you had the choice between the red and the blue pill. The blue pill put you back to sleep, and just go about your business and do your 9 to 5 and don't question anything. But the people taking the red pill wake up and they realize what they're in, and now people are finding out what they're in and how this cabal has held power through the aspect of using blackmail, starting off small with all the political leaders to the corporate leaders, getting them to take one little step towards depravity and all the way to Satan worship, Lucifer worship, cannibalism, pedophilia, anything that you can say is on the dark road. They sent these people down there and as they got deeper and deeper into the abyss, they gave them more and more power to the point where they actually controlled everything in the world. This is not just a localized event to the U.S. This is a worldwide structure, and they work from the shadows, but they exist in all the top levels, and they don't let people know what's going on. They control the media, and that's why even when I talk with my daughter and tell her about and ask her some questions, she has no idea about these things because we are the ones that have to get the word out. This is something that is highly important for us to do. This is a revolution. This is the second revolution, and shots have been fired, not just in the virtual space, like censorship, knocking Alex Jones off, not just banishing people from being able to communicate with each other, whether it's by social media or email. They're even as of today starting to take people, so they deny Google services to people. So no matter what computer you go to, they know it's you, and they will deny you services of Google, which means that's pretty deep. So this is ratcheting up. But so the shots that have been fired physically that have been done also are at a military level, very high level. And we're going to go into this just a bit. So actually, when Trump came to Singapore to meet with Kim Jong-un to basically discuss peace, right? And this was something that they definitely didn't want to have happen. They wanted this to be a place where nuclear war would spring forth from, right? Because they want war so that they can basically collapse the world and they can own everything. This is their final power grab. They literally used a missile and fired at Air Force One. Not just any missile, a missile fired from a submarine. And the submarine that was fired from was actually decommissioned under the Clinton administration. So now it's actually an active submarine, supposed to have been put into mothballs, but it's not. And it was fired from a secret cabal base. So there was a return of fire that took place. Now, you may have heard about an airplane that crashed, right? It was stolen by a worker on the field, on the airfield, right? That just decided to go for a joyride and then ended up crashing into an island. That's the official mainstream media report. Coincidentally, the worker that was on that airfield decided to take a joyride, had the same name as a submarine. Now, that must have been a planted information just to let people know, hey, look at here. So when QAnon is pointing at this and saying, hey, look over here, investigate. And it turns out that it's the same name. It's not, that isn't what happened. And reports is that when this plane took off, it actually did advanced moves like somersaults. before it ended up crashing into an island just off of the coast of Washington and had a very big explosion. So what actually happened was more that there was that was the submarine base was an underground submarine base that was on this island. And on this island, it was owned by some very rich people who also, there's tales of it being a place where they would do pedophilia and keep kids there. Supposedly, the word was that there were no kids there on the island when this took place, and that if there were, they would have been extracted by the military. But they destroyed the base where the submarine was. There are shots fired in this war. The cabal is being in a place where they're trying to cause either Trump to be killed or to start World War. This even ties into the GCR and delay tactics to stop the money from flowing. They want the economies to collapse. So GCR has been trying to happen, and it keeps being stopped. So at a certain point, they want everything to collapse. But these are the type of things that are happening in the background that we don't get to see in the public eye. So how can we participate is to do videos and let people know. So that's why I decided to do this video, and I'm just going to call them Q-volution videos. So there's a revolution going on, and QAnon is the tip of the spear. This is the information that's making it out. This is basically commands from the military on look here, look, so that people can wake up, so that when they start the mass arrests, and there are going to be mass arrests, 45,000 sealed indictments, everything from people that are in government, in the Justice Department, in the FBI, in all the military, in the CIA, and everyone who has committed treason is going to be tried in a military court in Gitmo. 200 million, and there's articles, and QAnon has pointed out, here, look at this article. Here's an article of $200 million being spent on redoing and building out more facilities for Gitmo. Lots of articles on it. I believe 30,000 new accommodations for people to be there. So look at what they're expecting to happen. It also, Q is placing this in the light of this being a 3-part trilogy movie, and we're in the first part. And if you go back over all the breadcrumbs that have been laid out and follow along, there was a picture being painted, a script being revealed. And now the whole synopsis has been revealed, as a praying medic went through one yesterday and laid it out for what is being said is what this movie is all about. So these are things that are going on. It is happening now. And before the election, which is 10 weeks from now, you're going to see a lot of strange things happening, because the cabal is making last-ditch efforts to basically, they have to win. They have to win the next election cycle in 10 weeks, or they definitely are gone. They need to retake the Congress so that they can cause an impeachment. That's their only hope. But this has been well orchestrated. The military knows what they're going to do to lay this out and make sure that they are going to go down. So the movie is underway for part 1 of this trilogy, and that it's all about bringing them to justice, the mass arrests. Also, it's about the FISA warrant that was issued so that the FBI could basically spy on Trump. How it was fraudulently created, treasonously created, and how they did it, and where the military, where the British intelligence was involved with this. Remember, who is in the city of London, right? The three city states that are controlling the world: the city of London, Washington, D.C., and Vatican City. The financial side is all coming from Britain. The military is America, and then the Vatican is religion. So this is there is the British intelligence played a part of this. And if you even do more history research into the Revolutionary War that we supposedly won, and then after winning the Revolutionary War, we ended up paying reparations to King George, who lent us the money to be in the war from the French side. The French lent us the money. Of course, he was the king of both France and England. And then we had to pay England, which ended up causing debt, 200,000 lira, that actually was a perpetual debt that kept having to be paid, and the interest you can never get out of, and so on. So the system of debt, it goes back to the royalty, the royalty of England, the cabal, its system put in place. Now, we had one revolution to get out of control of there, and we never actually really did. And that's a long story. We won't get into that right now. But we are in a position now to take control and change the world for the better. Eliminate the cabal worldwide, because they've been using us for food, for sex, slavery, and human trafficking around the world. Has been well documented, and now is being put out in front. But keep in mind, the cabal is masters at actually deception. They love to deceive. I started watching these international tribunals for natural justice, showing where Ronald Bernard, who is an ex-banker from Dutch banker, that came out and said he had to escape from them because they led him up to the path with all the blackmailable things that got him down the line to where he had to do child sacrifice, and that's where he drew the line and broke from them. But this international tribunal is preaching, forgiveness, right, and allowing and resolving this in a nonviolent way, which I'm all for nonviolence, and forgiveness is one thing, but letting them go, they have to pay for what they've done, as worse as it gets. Now, not to say that some of them are went down the road and were good people and became bad people, and still don't want to do what they're doing and have resisted, and there's hope for everybody. But keep in mind that there is true evil that we're dealing with. And this is something that is going on in a way that has been so deviously created. But they use the financial system to keep us under control. And this is what we have to now react against. And we have to move ourselves to the point where we're now taking control of all of the apparatuses that are governing us, the financial system. This is why, I've had to focus on TBC coin, was on the financial side, to give us financial independence no matter what happens in the marketplace system that they've all manipulated. So we have to take our time right now and pass this information on to everyone, because this is what is going on, and it's happening now in front of us. Now, I may be censored, because now, as of today, I said they're turning off people, denying access to Google services for those people that are now under a social scoring. Now, this is what China does to basically people that are speaking out against the government there. They give them a social score, and if you become blacklisted because of your social score, you cannot buy food. You cannot make reservations. You cannot move around. So the same thing is now happening and has happened as of today. So they're actually unpersoning is a term that's come up by Alex Jones. That they deplatformed him. Now they're trying to make him an unperson, meaning that wherever he goes, they will actually ban the channels where he goes and speaks out on it. So now Trump has been given a action plan uh, by by Alex Jones. We say because they've been doing the research and they've been documenting things. So now they put it into reports, and here's a plan on what to do to move things forward. And because the government system resists the change, so now it's coming from outside. And but Trump has been making efforts to alert people and tell people that this is wrong, it's illegal. And so now, when things start rolling, people will be aware. And the good thing is that most people know what's going on. You add all of the media up from CNN, ABC, CBS, MSNBC, and they have 200,000 people looking at them on any day. But the alternative media, just Alex Jones, like 30 million per day. So no one believes that side anymore, but they're not aware that people are not watching them, right? They don't get it, right? And they're living in a world that is that they've been brought up to say that they're in control. It's goes everything under Project Mockingbird and the CIA and everything that they've done to create a system of presenting a perspective that they want people to look at. Now they're in the point where they're trying to make men into women and women into men, right? Confusing the genders, right? Making everyone unhappy, right? Destroying things that have been put in place, by our forebears to make a wonderful country and a wonderful place around the world. And America did many wonderful things. But at the same time, there was the cabal behind there trying to still cause war, always through war. Yeah, they make things happen, even though we thought we're doing the best things. Learned recently that maybe the nuclear weapons that were dropped on Japan could have been avoided because Japan was going to quit before with the same terms that they ended up agreeing to afterwards. So there may not have had to been that, but they wanted to move forward. They wanted to create that fear in the world. Okay, well I want to basically point out a couple of websites before we go any further. As I said, these are a couple of the things that I've been sites that I've been watching that I would suggest that you also look at. Okay. Right here, stop that, save some bandwidth. So this is SGT report. You can see that it's at many historical atrocities and rituals. The rabbit hole is much darker and far sinister. There will come a time when they won't be safe walking down the street. The hammer is about to drop. So all of this is all in the last week, right? So these are very well done, good information that you'll find on this. And here's Praying Medic. Now he does a lot. Everything he does is about Q. Coming soon to a theater near you. That's the movie scenarios, right? That this is the first part of a movie that they're unfolding for us to bring us up to speed so we know what's going on. Nothing to see here, meaning these are very unusual things, and the media says, "Oh, pay no attention to that. Just look over here. No, don't look over. Look over here." We are in control, meaning that it's the military is in control. Trump is in control. It doesn't matter all this other stuff that's going on because they've already won. That's the good news. They just don't know, the cabal side doesn't know that they've already lost. Right? They're under if they do this and they cause all this, they're squirming around trying to make something happen. So I'll just go through a little bit of this post from
for those of you who are following at home and want to do your own decodes, you can find Q drops on Qanon.app and another number of other websites. For those of you who'd like to get the word,
move ahead a little bit here.
I'm glad to get this video out, but I do apologize for its lateness. You posted this on the 19th. It's a long post, and this is just part one. Define fascism, forcible suppression of opposition, define censorship, institution, system, or practice of censoring, define narrative.
So it goes through things like this and is pointing out
Q noted that
information to keep in mind.
Subverted by corrupt people. All right, see, cause in brackets, define subversion, the act of subverting, the state of being subverted, especially a systematic attempt to overthrow or undermine the government or political system of persons working secretly from within. After consulting with the Attorney General,
I'm just moving ahead on some
things.
This
is a link you might want to check out. The Miami Herald has a section on their website that is all about Guantanamo Bay. And you might check in there once in a while. They have a lot of news. It's reported.
So I just want to give you a taste of it so you have an understanding of it. So what I want to do is bring on some people that are here in the Zoom room. I invited a couple like Cleve and Sam. I'll bring you guys. Oh, Cleve, I brought you on.
I am here, Dan. Can you hear me?
I do hear you.
Okay.
And I'm going to bring Sam on as well. Sam is here in the Philippines. He's been working with me on TBC as well, and a good friend. And we had talked about this earlier. And I just want to Cleve, have you looked into any of the QAnon phenomena that's been going on?
No, I'm not quite familiar. I am more familiar with what you would call the major news. Oh, that's my hand there. Uh, Hang on a second. Let me turn my camera around so my finger. Oh, that's not my finger. That's somebody else's finger.
That's Sam. Hello, Sam.
So basically, no, I'm not familiar with many of the things that's going on, but I'm quite familiar with what's happening, what I see happening in the media and around me. I pay much attention to that, so I couldn't speak to the secret stuff that is going on behind the scenes, but I can definitely speak about what I see for myself. And, my opinion may be a little bit different from yours. But,
That's okay.
I just take a look and see what I see. Uh, I want you to know that I'm a bipartisan person. Okay. And I've decided to be bipartisan for many reasons. And one of the things for me that gives me a clue about people, we're talking about you, whether how people deal with whether they love people or not, whether they care about people, they care about the things that people have gone through. Now, you're talking about you start talking about the old American, the Revolution, um, that started in 1763. Um, Out of that, we make declaration of independence, right? But still, there are many people that have not seen that independence and still fighting for that independence, especially financial independence, even for people of color or for people of any type of color type thing. Because what happened is what the law says and what really happened in society if the people, the common people, are not willing to love people enough to make sure what they got other people can get, then the whole system breaks down. And so that's what I am seeing here. I am seeing a divide, and the divide doesn't make America better, but it makes it more fragile. Because who's to say that one group is greater than the other? I mean, the greatness of America is people coming together. So going back even in the American Revolution, they fought and many people died over it. But even though they came out with the declaration, all men are created equally and blah, 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 it doesn't mean that the opportunity are equal. And so, what we have and what I'm excited about, the changes that are being made, is through cryptocurrency and the blockchain. And I think that's the side of the fence that I want to be on. But in order for me to make a stand, I have to observe quite a bit of what has taken us into this place,
Yeah.
right? And it was the lack of the oneness. When God called us, He called us to be one, and we should love one another. I mean, there's only two commandments: you love God and you love people as you love yourself. And so we missed that boat, and that is what causes separation, the division, the war, and the killing. Now, you also said something else um, that touched my spirit. There's a scripture that I'm reminded of. It says, "Let the wheat and the tares grow until the day of harvest." Now, one of the things that I find is sometimes when we try to root out the bad people, we also root out some of the good people with it. And in our understanding of who is bad and who is not always clear. There are always some error in it. That's one of the reasons why many places stop, putting people on gallows and taking them in the death penalty because of the error that they have. And so we run a risk of doing the same thing. And
I
I
hear
believe,
Cleve,
go ahead.
I do hear you. And first I want to say this is not a partisan thing. In fact, we're talking about both sets of Bushes and Clintons and Obamas, all of them being put on trial for treason with evidence. And if you remember when we had uh, Snowden, who leaked this information about the NSA spying tools, and he fled the country and ended up now being sequestered away so that he's not so he was releasing information outside of the United States. So what did this do was it created an impression of the NSA as being spying on everyone and making everyone mad at the NSA. But it looks like that this was actually a psyop performed by the bad actors, and that they wanted to make the NSA look bad because why? The NSA stores everything, including on the bad actors. And so, if it came down to where now the NSA is under the military, and so they are the ones that are now, leading this charge against the cabal worldwide, and they're looking at the NSA as the place where all this evidence sits for what these people actually have done and what they admit to doing. So we're talking about people wrongly accused of things and being put into prison or sent to the gallows. We're going to have overwhelming evidence for all of them. And so far, what's been revealed is overwhelming. It's just from the Q posts. It's and that's not all just the evidence. This is just the circumstantial stuff that you're looking at. The deep stuff is going to come out because the NSA will be able to retrieve all the text messages and voicemails conversations and things that people had. And when they think that they're in control and nothing's ever going to happen to them, they were sloppy, and their sloppiness is revealed. So we're not going to be arresting people in mass that don't deserve it. That's why it's being very meticulously crafted. And 45,000 sealed indictments, where we may have 1,000, at any one time. Mostly it's in the hundreds, and these are nationwide. And so this is happening in a way that's going to allow for us to move beyond and really give everyone an equal chance at moving forward in their lives. No matter what their situation is, we're going to be much better. And this also is tied into the financial reset. Trump is waiting, is moving on. I know, Clay, we've talked much in the past about the GCR and the things that are happening in there, and then things that have even Trump has been part of the GCR from early on, from a long time. Even has dinar, so he's aware of it, and who knows how much he has as part of it. But this is something where there's going to be a lot of money brought into the system, and that will bring prosperity for everyone. And cryptocurrency will play a part in this. And there's more things happening. Like I said, with TBC, I've got some projects underway. We're using TBC as collateral on certain things. Even someone that you were associated with, you gave them my information a while back. They contact me. They've acquired 102 banks, and they're looking at using TBC in the same way that I was looking at using for the housing program, by adding insurance to it and things of that nature to make it work with existing banking systems. So there's a lot of hope. There's a lot of things happening, but it's going to be a very big wake up. What's going on right now, and it's really happening now. So it is coinciding with where it looks like the GCR has come to and what is happening. So again, I'm. This is all things that have been percolating for the last few years to move to this point. We've all been working on the GCR, waiting for things to happen, and then it's always delayed, always delayed. Well, who's behind the GCR? Well, there's been several, reasons to do a GCR. And then when it's supposedly supposed to happen, the first one was in 2014, and the Bushes were behind that one, and we're still going to sit pretty afterwards, right? But what's happened since then? Who else is trying to do it? The Dragon families didn't agree with the Bushes, so that's why it didn't happen, and the Malta conference got fell apart, and things happened there.
Yeah.
So,
this is one of the reason also why I am concerned with the new system of gold, because humanity has bear the brunt of evil in this world, especially the poor people. The people with the money can escape and they can go different places and they could, but the people that has to sit there, when I lived in Africa, I realized that the poor people there that are going through their hardship, they're kind of stuck there.
yeah,
But me, even though I may not have a dollar in my pocket, right? I can't compare myself to them because I am not from there. In an instant, I call somebody and I'm out of there, even when I don't have any money. They don't have that opportunity.
yeah,
And so, one of the things that we see that happens is because of favor that some may have and some may not have, people who have the favor swing to get more favor without remembering the people that don't have the favor. And now when I see the TBC make that gap a little closer in. It's not a wider gap, so that even though the people, to me, $10 to afford $10 to come into TBC is not a big deal, right? But somebody someplace else, when you $10 is a lot of money for them, right? And
Yeah.
so we still have an advantage, and nobody wants to lose their advantage to bring other people up. So I believe the plan is, if we don't focus on helping the people up, we can get distracted with the politics, and this is why I stay away. I watch what goes on in politics, but I stay away from it because there's so many people that got caught up in it, and it just take my focus away from helping and doing what I need to do. I say that God doesn't make me to be a good angel today and a bad angel tomorrow. And I don't wish to see anybody who have sinned. There's many people. When I lived in Rwanda, of all places, that's where they killed 900,000 people in 100 days,
Mm.
right? I was dealing with people who lost their family to their neighbor. But in order for them to get along, they had to forgive them.
Yeah.
The jails couldn't hold them no more, and they had to go back in the neighborhood, right? And so until we come to that place, right, it's not really putting people in prisons. Evil is going to be evil, but what we overcome evil with is with good. And evil has a way of trying to tie us up into that evil, that muck,
Mhm.
so that we don't have the focus on what we need to focus on anymore. We get so wrapped up. Listen, when I see some of the things that goes on in the media, when I watch it too much, I get too tied up in it, and some of the things that I need to focus on falls by the wayside. And that is the way it is to me when I see governments, because governments is really not for the people. I believe God is for the people. This is why when Jesus says, "Whose inscription is this on the coin?" and they say Caesar, he says, "Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar,
Right.
and to God things God." We belong to God. We are the only creation that God wants for himself and say, "This is mine." And so, because God is for the people, if you notice what the government has done, they've taken out God out of the public place. You can't even say it because people become offensive and offended, because you talk about the goodness of God and what God is doing.
Well, you
And
you can
so,
you can speak about Islam, and then that's okay.
well, you see, well, no, s- listen. If I'm in the Middle East, when I lived, I used to live in Dubai as well, and so I have many of people that there is from the Islamic faith, and I sit and I talk to them about God, and I see past their
Oh, I
religiousness.
listen, Cleve. I understand what you're saying. I mean, my mother-in-law is Muslim, right? it's
Yeah,
a I'm very familiar with the religion, and I have no problem with the people. It's this that but what is being used for as a weapon at this
yeah.
point by the cabal, and why I'm not trying to degrade the religion to say that. I'm just saying that they're when you say that they don't allow you to say God in public, but they are promoting Islam, but it's actually a radical version of it to basically use as a weapon.
But
So
look at the army. Look at the U.S. Army. Okay, the U.S. Army did not allow Bibles to be taken into Iraq. Right, when in fact they pile up a whole bunch of Bibles and they burn it. Right, but right in our military, the Quran is a holy book, right? And you can't do or you can't mistreat it in the United States military.
yeah.
When the United States was found up on Christians fleeing for their lives.
Yeah.
So the cabal not only use Muslim, the cabal also use Christianity.
Hmm.
And this is why I move away. I move away from religion. I can tell you, I love God. I really love God. I have a passion for God. But religion is, you know, I don't like to be, because I can't put God in a box. And
Yeah.
that's what religion is for me. And
Religion
so,
is just the politics of a particular group, right? It's just
yes,
so.
exactly.
Yeah,
So,
I don't. I've stayed away from religion, since I was 13. It's only recently that I joined the church because it was my wife's church. It's a good church, strong values. But politics inside the church also is there. So everywhere is politics related to this stuff, and it makes things, you know,
everywhere.
yeah, makes it
Bec-
not as godlike as it should be.
yeah, because we're taught, the cabal has been teaching us since we were children, in every side and every place, what is to be the norm. And if you step outside the norm, you're chastised, right?
Yeah.
And so this is some of the conflicts that we have. And so this is why I can't afford, my relationship with you, to have somebody in between me and you because you like this one and I don't like. So I don't get into that politics because the price that I'm giving up is too much, and I would not do that. And so, with that, I just want to throw that out there. I love what you do. I love what you're about, and I'm here to support you in every way. But if I could bring another side of the coin, to the story and give you my point of view, I thank you for allowing me to share that.
No, I definitely want that because it's more about bringing out the information. That's why I was doing this. It's more about making sure people know that things are happening when it's being hidden from so many people. So if there's any way that we can bring it forth to the next person by passing this information on, that's it. So that's why it's important to share these videos. So I encourage everyone watching, please grab the link for this video and go ahead and send it out to your friends by email. Send it uh, by Facebook. Send it every which way. Make positive comments. No negative comments. not required. If you need, but do what you can to do your own videos and let people know that there are things that are changing in this world right now, and it looks like it's all for the better. And if we create a wave of positivity and move that forward in the world, then we will know that we are on a good path to changing the world for the better, so that everyone is now not treated as a debt slave, and that not everyone has the ability to have access to wealth. There's no reason that we should be lacking food anywhere in the world, lacking anything that anyone wants to go ahead and put their effort into doing. They should be able to do it. If they want to create something or they want to sit around and do nothing, they should have the ability to do it and not worry about all of the things. And I'm not talking about socialism. By far, I'm not. But I am talking about looking at the way we're doing things and have it recognize that we have value in everything that we do. Even if we're texting someone, there's value in that. And if we're breathing, there's value in that. So we should have a system that's reflecting that. We can't walk away from a money system. We use it, but we're using the existing one to send all the wealth up the pyramid. And we have to stop using the pyramid system. We have to be decentralized. We have to stop looking at things as a central controller. We need
Here.
we need to use that system for abundance for everyone. And that's as we were talking earlier, TBC gives us that advantage, right?
Excellent.
So how do we build abundance-based models with people? Business models. That's why in Abundance Mind, I'm using abundance formula to create a whole new business venture, right? This is something that is going to move forward and build solar panels and build mining rigs, and this is real value, and put it behind a token, right? So that builds up for everyone. Everyone who has the tokens, it gets to continue to build and build and build. So we need to come up with other abundance-based models. Things. We're not at the stage where we can use TBC on a daily basis for buying coffee and things down at the store, or paying off someone asked me, can I pay off my credit card debt with it? No. The existing system doesn't want to accept any cryptocurrency. But there are ways to use cryptocurrencies that are not for going to pay for dinner, right? If you know how banks work, you can try and make it palatable for them. And that's why we have projects that are going on that look like they're close to paying off. And then I will be able to use TBC for other projects in the same way once we establish a model. So this takes time. This takes effort, and when these things are accomplished, this helps the whole community, because then the people become aware, and it gives more faith in our coin. So, but we have a lot to do. But the point of what I was doing here was really to make a point to know that we are in a transitional period. There is a real revolution that's happening. This is the defeat of the same powers that we were fighting when we had the first Revolutionary War. It's the same cabal, same thing. It's been 500 years this system has been putting into place, and they've been working on it. So we've got, it's hard for us to think in those terms, but it's a multi-generational system. And they've only gotten more crafty in how they apply it. It's been 80 years for the Federal for the 80, 90 years for the Federal Reserve System, right? But it's tried 2 times before that, and each time it was canceled because it was robbing the people. Well, they just hid it this time in plain sight and called it Federal Reserve as though it's part of the government, and it wasn't. But they hid that from the people. Now, can we move past this? Can we come up with something different? Yes, but we have to build it. But we have to look at that there's so many changes going on in the world that this is the time for it to happen. This is the time to make changes in the world, move forward. So I encourage everyone to go ahead and do this. So, Cleve, you're raising your hand.
Oh, I think I touched the wrong button.
Go ahead.
I agree with everything you're saying, my friend. This is my passion. So when I told my wife, let's do TBC, we have to find something, not just to make it work for us, because uh, if it worked for us, we got to know how it worked, and so that we can pass it on to other people. But what really makes TBC work is the planning it for the community. You're not just thinking of selling TBC just to pay off your Visa card this month.
Right.
You want a system that everybody could use and everybody could benefit from. And I believe that we can develop this system, and we are very, very close to breakthrough with TBC. I had a couple of phone calls just before I spoke to you today, and I have one tomorrow, and I was supposed to go on one tonight, but I decided to take your a conference call over that guy and postpone him till tomorrow. But
Well,
they're
thank
all
you.
talking about TBC. They're
Yeah.
all talking about using TBC, wrapping TBC, bringing it into the bank. How are they going to leverage? One guy says, please tell me about TBC. I am sure I can take it into the bank and get a 50% LTV. Now, I said, we got to learn what TBC is so that when you speak from education, understanding what it is. And so the points that I gave him, the very fact on how the value of TBC is counted, it's a more reliable value than that of Bitcoin and
Right.
even that of the currency that we use every day, what we call the dollar.
Yeah.
It's a better reliable value.
It is
So
more like gold than any of the other cryptocurrencies. And because of that, it's going to act differently. than all the other
Exactly.
currencies. And we have to use it differently. It's not about exchanging at a bank. It's not about, even though we're talking to banks, no, I'm not looking to go down and take a TBC and say, here's my TBC, please give me the cash. No,
Yeah.
it doesn't work that way.
No.
But there are ways it can work. But you
Yeah.
have to talk in the language of the banks. So
Yeah.
yes, Cleve and I are been working on some ideas that are all along the same way, because we're talking the banking language so that they have an understanding of how to use it. So we're moving forward now. I did invite Frederick, but I know it's late in the middle of the night for him. But Frederick in Ghana has already secured land, 1,000 hectares, I think. Former president of Ghana's land, to work on a housing program. And since the group of 102 banks that has contacted me, I talked with them. I said, there's a project here in Ghana. They have 2 banks in Ghana that if we work this out, we'd be able to use the TBC in the system that Frederick's designed. And his goal is to provide, I think, 2 million homes in Ghana and 17 million homes in Nigeria for the people that are homeless, and in a way that makes sense. And you can actually create quite an economic boom creating that much housing, right? So, and we have the asset to do it. So we just have to apply ourselves to make things like this happen. So, I've got 2 other projects that are looking to be funded, and they may happen very shortly, and so if this does happen, it becomes a model, and then we can open this up and allow a pathway for other people in the TBC community to use this system. So, but this is the time of change. We're about it right now. And so this is a remarkable, time for us. That's why these things can happen. The old financial system is going to change. So there's room for new ideas and to make things happen that are not the same manipulated market-based systems that we've been existing on. So the ones that enslaved us.
Exactly. And here's something else that I wanted to say, and I'm so sorry for taking up your time, but I think this is so important to say. A lot of people are waiting for the visionary to do some things, and they don't understand how important their part is. And I just think if we can lay that out this evening for the average individual that comes to TBC, you see, if we need more TBC to do the things that we need to do, the average person can help us by going out there and inviting more people into TBC.
Yeah.
Because you see, when the doubling comes, right? If you have a billion, you will have 2 billion to do your project. If you have 10 billion, you will have 20 billion. And so, and that is being helped by the people, the average person that comes in to bring another and to bring another and to bring another. And that's what helps us so that we have more volume at the top to work with to do these economic things that we need to do.
Yeah. So no, it's correct. We can set a path for people so that they know that even if they're all just getting into TBC now, that they can grab and take advantage of the promotions, get 1 full TBC. Well, is the promotion still? I think it's promotion, but we're still 1 full TBC for $100 purchase. But that gives them $8 million worth of value. And people say, well, how is that possible? Well, it's because it's about distributing the coin and building our membership. And we want people to have wealth. And that's what the system is about. It's not, you can't look at it from the same views of the existing systems where it's not abundant in coin, right? It's a scarcity of coin, driving the price up and then down, and the greed to go up and down and up and down. We don't go down. Well, daily price can go down, but the value continues to rise every day with the more people that join. basically on being on the gold standard, and 1 grain of gold per member that joins causes our coins to go up in value. So we're already 3.3 million people. So that drives us up to, $8 million a coin. It's fantastic. But
Yeah, sure is.
so
Sure is.
everyone can, this promotion is just for 1 million people to get 1 coin, right? Because that 1 coin, those 8 million now, is due to go to 1 billion. That's making a billionaires, right? We'll have several billionaires. So it's all about, bringing in our membership. And you know what? When Cleve, you're successful in using TBC as an asset or collateral in a loan, or I'm successful, and this becomes known, that what that does is it causes a stampede of more members, right? They're all going to want to join, and they're all going to want to know how they can do it. And we'll make systems and make it easy for people to apply to do this. Here's an online form, boom, 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 and then done. So this will happen, right? But it will take. It just takes us the time of education of the banking industry. My friend and banker in England, I talked with him. This was about 3 months ago, and he said he had someone from the City of London that came to him and said, now he puts himself out as a cryptocurrency expert among bankers, and the official from the City of London came up and said, do you know about TBC? And he played dumb, and he wanted to say, no. So tell me about it. So the guy said, well, it's not like other cryptocurrencies. It seems to be more like gold. So, it takes some time for this to make it into, the thought processes of the bankers and how to deal with it. And and this will be much more advantageous for banks to use as to add to their balance sheets. So many banks are really suffering. They can't meet the standards, right? They don't have enough on their balance sheets to stay open. So that's why they fold. But this can change things.
There you go.
So anyway,
well, the more TBC we have, the more we can help the banks and turn them from cabal into real people.
I've got enough to help a lot of banks, so it's okay. We'll get started with this. I got in there early, so we'll be able to work with a lot of banks. So now, Cleve, I'm going to ask if there's anyone else that's already in the Zoom room that has any questions. You can raise your hand, and I'll bring you on, and we can talk. But I'm also going to look and see if there's any questions on the YouTube room. See, Stephen is just making a comment. Governments have way too much control, just causing confusion and brainwashing people. That's correct. So, okay, so that's it. No, not too many questions on here right now. But I would say that I'm going to start going into more depth about what I'm doing with while I'm analyzing stuff that's happening with Q and the QAnon phenomena, and trying to really focus people on what's going on. And I'm just asking you to go ahead and either just pass on my video or to do a video. And I'm really, if you need help with that, it's not that difficult to learn, but I can help you out with that as well. So anyway, I know Sam I'd brought on here. I wanted to talk with Sam about this, but Sam, it looks like he lost internet connection. But anyway, I think that's all I have for today, Cleve. I appreciate you coming on and us talking about this. I want to at least have the conversation going about this so people know that there is something happening and to start waking up about it.
Yes, excellent. Thank you for having me on. It's a great thing. Whenever you need me, just give me a call, brother.
I really, yeah, I will definitely. I'll be inviting you next time as well, and I want to keep it going. So, and we'll figure it out as we go. But I think within these next 10 weeks, it's going to be pretty interesting on the political thing because that election is so important, and there's going to be a mass flood of people going to vote, and it looks like, and it's not about being partisan. It's just about removing the cabal. And there just happens to be on the Democrat side a very high preponderance of it of cabal members. But it's not that it's only on that side; it's on the Republican side too. I saw the resignations of senators and representatives, and I was surprised that one of the people I knew was resigning. So resignations are quite different, than not running. You don't just
Hmm.
resign, because when you resign, you're like giving up a lot of stuff that's going on. Usually people are forced to resign. So,
Right.
yeah, not to say it's 100% the case, but so many resignations and then so many that are not running the next cycle. It's really a very big thing that's happening. So it's and then in the city, in all the governments, infrastructures, the agencies, and also in um, the large corporations, they're all having resignations. Normally, in a year, you'll have 100 resignations of top people around the world. There's 3,500. I saw a chart, and you can see it ramp up over the last 3 months on how
Wow.
many are resigning, because they know they're being told, get out of the way or you're going to be put in jail, right? That so they're not they want people just to step away. If you're in the cabal uh, and causing problems, right? Step aside or you're going to be picked up. Right? That's what the message is. And so the cabal, I've heard numbers that in the last 2 months that 2,000 cabal members were killed by the cabal for
Wow.
not doing holding the line. So you're in the cabal and you're not doing what they want you to do, they kill you because they're trying to maintain control. So they're eating their own. So this is so if Ronald
That
Bernard said it was 8,500 people in the world are the controllers, uh,
that that
and if that's the size, and if they just dropped 2,000 of them, I don't know if that's the same group or not, but obviously that there is something going on. Um, and you can even see the deaths of these people that are listed as suicides, but they hung themselves from a doorknob with a tie. A red tie actually signifies some kind of symbolic meaning for them. Uh,
interesting.
yeah, so
Interesting.
there's a lot happening, but this is the point. It is a revolution. Q-evolution is what I'm calling it, just because Q is the focal point of this. The information that we're getting is coming from this source, close to Trump, and so we're gonna. I urge everyone to use those two, SGT report and Praying Medic, as sources, and just watch some of these Q videos. The Praying Medic is really focused on just Q. So that if you want to learn about that, just watch a few of these, and you'll get the picture right away about what's going on. And it's underway. Where it's the revolution is on, and many things are happening. You know, I was told as to why, like, the GCR was not running, and it was delayed on the American side, was because of military issues. I'm not going to discuss what they are, but the military has to clean up some things uh, that the cabal put into place that if the GCR was to flow, that they would cause a major problem. So I'm not going to say what they are, but they were major, and they were around the world. It would have caused major problems throughout the world if the GCR was to move forward at that time. But it looks like there's a deadline on it. So the end of the month, that has happened before there, or they're going to leave the U.S. behind, and that's not a good thing for the U.S. because then that would seal the U.S. off from everyone else.
Yeah.
So anyway,
not good to be isolated.
Not good to be isolated, especially on this matter, because all the money would be outside the U.S.
Exactly.
Right. And then what would happen and you need money in the U.S. Well, what's going to happen? Well, the money would flow in, and then they'd buy up the U.S. So that's why it can't happen.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
okay, please.
Well, thank you, my brother.
And
all
we'll
right.
talk again soon. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining me, and please, as I said, please go ahead and go back to this as a way of moving forward. Make it visible for everyone. Pass on this information. Do your own investigation. Look into the QAnon. Go ahead and pass on those videos that you find. Subscribe to those channels. Subscribe to this channel. Make your own channel. Go ahead and be a broadcaster and do this. And just you don't have to be perfect. It's easy to do. Once you do the first one, it's the hardest thing to do, because you just got to get over the what buttons to push. And then you move from there. So again, thank you, everyone. I look forward to our next meeting. Bye-bye.
All right. Good night.